Hi, I'm Wendy, and this is a knitting podcast. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. My Instagram handle is Furiously Knit, so it will probably be called Furiously Knit, but I think I need to see how I feel about that. But anyway, podcast number 1. I've been meaning to do this for a while. My daughters have been harassing me to do this for a while. I love to sit down and watch knitting podcasts myself. And I was on a date recently, and I found myself going on and on and on about yarn to my date. And so I just thought, this is this is maybe a sign that I should find, not that he wasn't interested. He was a very good sport about my blue face Leicester yarn and the amazing sheen of this yarn. But it did make me think that maybe it was time to find another outlet for talking about knitting, raving about yarn, and just generally going on and on about this part of my life that I feel so passionately about. So here we are. Again, my name is Wendy. I live in Chicago. I live with my twin 10-year-old daughters and our 2 cats, any of whom might make an appearance. We'll see. Everybody's home today, so we'll see how it goes. It is a very cold, blustery, sunny but flurrying day outside, which is beautiful to look at, but very unpleasant. I was out earlier just feeling kind of like spring is never gonna come. But it will, and I'm glad I'm starting this now while I am still in the throes of winter knitting. My day job is working as a teacher in the public school system. I'm an early childhood teacher, so predominantly kindergarten and preschool. This year I am teaching in a class of 4 and 5-year-olds, pre-K, full day. So I'm tired often. But I do make time for knitting as much as I can. And I'm happy to be here and to talk with you about everything I'm working on. So I think I'm just gonna jump right into what I'm wearing, which is my, this was my second sweater that I ever completed. It's the No-Frills Sweater by Petite Knit. And I knit this in Cascade 220 fingering, held with a silk mohair from Glam Yarns, who is an indie dyer in Michigan. I still can't get over. I completed this over a year ago, and I just still can't get over how soft this fabric is. It's very warm, which is why I'm wearing it today. We did not have a very cold winter in Chicago this year. We had a few blasts of horribleness, but overall it was pretty warm, and I haven't actually had many opportunities to wear my warmest knits like this one. You can see my short row gaps. Not sure what happened here. You can definitely tell that it was one of my earlier sweaters, but I love it. Let me see if I can show a little bit more. It's a little bit oversized. Arm length is pretty perfect. Overall, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I even wore it to a family photo session a couple weeks ago, which was fun. I thought about also forcing my daughters to wear the sweaters that I've made for them, but decided against that because I was really trying to like get some genuine smiles and like joy and happiness out of them, so we didn't go that route. But maybe someday we'll have a family photo shoot and everybody will be wearing their hand knits. So that's what I'm wearing today. It is super warm, so we might lose this sweater soon. We'll see how it goes. Okay, finished objects. I have two recently finished objects to show you. I'm going to start with the Brownstone Beanie. This is a pattern by Tori Yu of Tori Knits NYC. I tested this pattern for her and it was so much fun to knit. It makes such a beautiful hat. My decreases are wonky, but at least they are consistently wonky, so I don't really mind. So this is a fingering weight hat that is knit at different gauges. So you hold it single for part of the knit and then you hold it double for part of the knit. And this is in a sock weight yarn, again from Glam Yarns. And this colorway is just everything. It reminds me of spring. It reminds me of hyacinths. Like I think it's the blue and the purples. As I was knitting it, I was thinking of it as like my Easter hat. I'm not sure why, but every year I knit something. Last year it was socks. I was knitting a pair of socks that were my Easter socks. This year it's the Easter hat. But the colors are amazing. I'm not a person who tends to, or at least I didn't used to be, a person who wears a lot of color. I do a lot of black, gray, neutrals, but since I really started knitting a lot more in the last couple years, I'm definitely drawn to more color, and this feels like the right amount of color to fit in nicely with a mostly like neutral wardrobe. So I've been wearing this hat pretty much every day. I knit the adult, this is the adult small. When I was testing it, I did the adult medium, which is too big for me because I have a teeny tiny head. I basically have a child-sized head, so the adult small definitely fit a lot better, and I love it. I think it's the perfect beanie pattern. Definitely going to knit some for my daughters to wear next fall. It's probably gonna be my go-to hat pattern. It's quick, it is fingering weight, but it knits up super quickly. The construction is interesting and it's super engaging, and I love it. Here's the hat after blocking, drying in my usual spot, which is on top of the radiator. And here's a shot of it on my head. And then my next finished object. This was the yarn that I was raving about to my date recently. This is my Lento that I knit for the Let's Lento Cal that was hosted by Rebecca from the Crayabea and Amy Palco from the Meaningful Stitch. This sweater was on my to knit list for a long time, and when the Cal came along, I decided that it was time. I knit it in a strand of Grenoy fibers. It's the blue-faced Leicester fingering base in lamp black, which is just like the most beautiful. As someone who likes to wear a lot of black, this is just such a gorgeous sort of charcoaly, heathery black that I held with Shibui Silk Cloud silk mohair. I don't remember the name of the color, but it was very close to the lamp black. It's blowing out a little bit in the sunroom here, but the variegation is perfect. The fabric, as a lot of you know, is knit at a pretty loose gauge, so it's very drapey. I'm so excited about this sweater. I knit it up so quickly. I've already worn it several times. I do think I'm going to rip out the ribbing at the hem. I forgot to change back to the smaller needles when I got to the hem, and I mean, I was so excited, I just kept on going, full steam ahead. But you can see how much looser the hem ribbing is than the rest of the ribbing. And initially I thought I was just gonna be okay with it. I mean, it looks fine, especially when it's on, but I do think I'm gonna rip it out and use the proper needle size. But other than that, this is absolutely perfect. I will definitely be buying more of this base. The BFL base is heavenly. It's springy, it's soft, it's warm. I just can't get over it. It does make me a little bit sad to think about sweater season coming to an end. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have all these amazing knits that I need to wear. But that does mean that warm weather knits are coming, which are also fun. So this was my Lento. I'm adding a photo here to show you how I wore my Lento. I wore it during the day with a skirt, tights, and my combat boots, and it was amazing. Thanks to my glorious photographer, my daughter, Tessa. Later that night, I wore it to a concert, and it was perfect. And I think I have a couple of other recently finished objects, but I don't think I'm going to go into them now. I think we will save them and talk about works in progress. I have 3 to show you. I definitely have more than 3 on the needles, but I'm going to keep it to 3 for now. These are the 3 that are sort of getting the most love right now. So we'll stick with these for now. I'm going to start with this guy, an Easter sock. This is just a vanilla sock, which is my usual go-to sock pattern, the vanilla sock by the Crazy Sock Lady. I'm not sure how well this phone is going to pick up on the amazing rainbow glory of this yarn. This is Malabrigo sock. And I don't know what came over me when I saw this yarn. I don't know if it's the preschool teacher in me or if it's the color-starved winter Midwesterner in me, but I had to have it, and I'm very glad that I went for it. I was considering doing a contrast color for the heel and the toe, but I don't think I have anything on hand. I was thinking of a red, like I thought a really nice bright magenta sort of red would be perfect, but I don't have anything in my stash, so I don't know if that will actually happen. I just might stick with this yarn for the entire sock and be happy. I typically knit the 56 stitch size, and I really like the 2x2 ribbing. So 2x2 ribbing for the cuff has sort of become my standard. So that's my Easter sock. It's just a rainbowy explosion of color and joy and springiness, and this one has actually been I mean, for obvious reasons, a huge favorite among my preschool students who watch me knit during my lunch breaks and during quiet time. They get to see the works in progress, and then they get to see the finished objects when I wear them to school, and they are very supportive and very encouraging of my habit, and this yarn was just an absolute favorite when they saw it last week. There was a lot of talk about how this was the perfect yarn to lure a leprechaun, because everybody's crazy about St. Patrick's Day last week, so it is very sweet that they are so interested in knitting. I actually had one little boy go home and tell his mom that he was watching me knit during quiet time and he wanted her to knit him a scarf, and she did. So now he has a hand knit scarf that his mom made him because he was inspired by knitting. And the third whip for today is something that I kind of surprised myself with. This is the Saturday Shrug by Jackie Rose. It's a free pattern, and I saw a lot of knitters working on it, and it didn't really call to me initially. But my classroom has been very chilly, and what I normally do is I just wear a big scarf kind of wrapped around me like a shawl. But as a preschool teacher, I was finding it very inconvenient that the ends of my scarves, were getting trailed through glue and paint and sand, and you know, we have a water table in my classroom, and it's just not practical for me to have something sort of draped around me and hanging off of my body as I'm teaching. So I realized that this would be perfect for staying a little cozy in my drafty classroom. I am knitting this in, okay, so these colors here, this blue, this sort of teal-y green, and then this mossy green, those are all the Walk Cottage Merino singles. It's a fingering weight, 100% wool, superwash merino. It's a heavy sock weight. And they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. But I didn't know what I was going to do with them because they are singles, and I didn't want to use them for a sweater or a hat or something that was just gonna, I mean, you know, I was worried about the pilling, and so I've had these in my stash for a little while, not sure what to do with them. And when I decided to cast this on, I realized that they would be perfect. Stripes like this are not usually my thing. I do love a classic sort of black and white striped top, but this is a little bit outside of my usual comfort zone, and I'm so happy with it. I can't stop squeezing it and squishing it. If you've knit this pattern, you know the squishiness. It is 1x1 rib all the way around. So it does make this just like incredible, thick, squishy, ribby fabric. I'm super excited about it. I thought this was going to be really tedious to work on because of the 1x1 rib, but it's going a lot faster than I expected it to, which is great because I want to wear it. The sort of limey green color is Pearl Soho Linen Quill, which is it definitely feels a lot, it's less soft for sure than the Walk singles, but I feel like it's working really well with them. And I think it's nice to have that sort of like bright pop of color. Not that these aren't also, for me, like bright pops of color, but I do like this combo a lot. So very, very excited about it. You just go round and round and round in the rib. I did not do the tubular cast on, but I just thought because, you know, the cast on edge sort of lays up here, I don't think you need as much stretch, and I don't necessarily need it to look, you know, I know that is a very beautiful cast on, but I didn't necessarily need it to look that beautiful. But I am going to do the tubular bind off, so I watched Jackie's tutorial that she has on her YouTube channel, and I'm going to refer to that when it comes time, because I do think it'll be nice to have that extra stretchy bind off edge down here where it will be. So that's the Saturday shrug. I love it when I'm surprised by something that I cast on. I am surprised by how enjoyable this has been, and by how much I love the stripes. I wasn't really expecting that. So it's been a very fun surprise. Okay, I'm gonna throw in another work in progress here that I wasn't planning on talking about, but I think that if I do, it might hold me accountable for finishing this sock that has been on the needles for a long time. I don't remember this yarn. I don't remember what yarn this is. I will find out and I'll put it in the description. It's a really fun, obviously self-striping sock yarn. And then the heel is a Knit Picks something. I'll put this in the description too. I don't remember what yarn it is. I'm gonna do the toe in the same like super bright goldeny color. This is a boot sock. Again, it's the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock pattern, and I was knitting these to wear with my blunt stones this winter. They're not going to be done for the winter, but I do want to get them done because I think these colors are really fun. I love stripy socks. I do love colorful stripes on my socks. Someone was teasing me about my socks the other day, which were solar system socks. And I am a preschool teacher. I have to wear preschool teacher socks. And these are wonderful preschool teacher, bright, colorful, fun socks. So they won't be done in time for this boot season, I don't think. Unless we have a very gross, cold spring, which is possible. But I don't think they'll be done in time. But I do want to hold myself accountable for working on these. So here we are. Super fun. Okay, now, my last work in progress. Something that I'm very excited about. I, earlier this year, finished a Clove Sweater by Rachel of Rachel Knits Things. And it's hands down the fit of that drop shoulder sweater is amazing. It fits me like a dream. And I knew right away after finishing it that I wanted to knit another one. Several months ago, I was just playing around with yarn. I had ordered some fingering weight yarn from Grenowy Fiber Company in the Wax and Wane colorway, I believe. And I held it with a strand of Filcolana Arwetta in the Marzipan colorway. I think it's Marzipan. And I got this, there we go, that's pretty close. I got the most beautiful swatch I've ever seen. And the fabric is so, you just can't, you know that feeling when you just like have to squish it. It's amazing. The little flecks of color, you probably can't tell on the screen, but they are blue and red and golden and black, and I knew as soon as I made this swatch that I wanted to have a clove sweater in this fabric. So that the swatch has been sort of sitting around waiting. And last week, Inga of the Knitting Traditions podcast announced a dream knit cal, or mal, a dream cal, mal, dream mal, a dream mal. And the idea is that you will make something that you have been dreaming of making, and immediately I knew that I needed to make my Clove #2 with this yarn. So I cast on a few days ago. And it is flying. And I know that's because I'm so excited about it. And I am so excited about it. The way that the yarn is knitting up, for some reason, the speckles are more concentrated, sort of like the darker speckles are ending up on the back. So we'll see what happens when I have not been alternating skeins, but I think that I will. I'm about to finish the first skein. And I think going forward, I will alternate, just because I'm a little concerned that there might be some heavier speckling on the front. Although even if there is, I don't think I mind. I don't think I'm gonna mind if it's not evenly speckled throughout the front. It is knitting up at a different gauge than my first clove, which was knit in just a single strand of a DK yarn. But I did the math, and instead of knitting the small, I'm knitting the extra small. And according to my calculations, it should be the same size, just about the same size. So this is my dream clove. I'm glad that it's moving quickly because I do want to wear this. It does feel like a very nice springy sweater with this sort of very light gray, creamy background, and then these little tiny colorful flecks, which you are definitely not going to be able to see on camera how gorgeous the colors are, but I can't stop looking at it. I can't stop looking at it. I feel like I'm obsessed. I'm just obsessed. And the fabric is just as beautiful as it was in the swatch, and it's going to have amazing drape. Okay, as much as I love raglans, I really love drop shoulder constructions. I think they just look so effortless and easy and still really just cool. So I am just overjoyed with how this is working up. I was watching Chelsea on the True Lane podcast recently, and there was an episode where she is talking about her knitting and how it makes her emotional to look at this beautiful thing that she's created. And when I look at this sweater, that's how I feel like. I feel like it could make me cry. I definitely do see the rowing out, which is not, it's more noticeable on camera. But it was also the same. I do remember the rowing out from the first clove that I knit. And after blocking it, it totally smoothed out and evened out and was really not noticeable. So I'm not worried about that. I am pretty confident that it will block out. And I'm just like so impatient to wear that. I can't wait to wear it with my black jeans. It's gonna look amazing with a skirt. It's gonna be wonderful. Okay. That's all for works in progress for now. I have a couple of yarn acquisitions that I wanted to talk about. Here I go again with the merino singles. This is Madeline Tosh hand-dyed merino light, which is a fingering weight. It's gorgeous blue, gorgeous bright blue. I want to knit Jessie May's diaphanous raglan with this yarn, and the pattern has you hold a fingering weight with a silk mohair. Now I thought when I ordered this, I knew that I had Knitting for Olive's silk mohair, soft silk mohair in Deep Petroleum Blue. I knew I had this in my stash, so I thought I could pair these together. So you hold these together for the body of the sweater, and then the sleeve is just the mohair. I'm not sure. I need to swatch. I need to swatch this up and see how I feel about them held together. I do think this is going to tone the brightness down a bit. I think what I'm going to do is knit a swatch with them held together and then drop the Madeline Tosh and just continue the swatch with this on its own to see if I like the contrast. So that's my plan for this. I'll put a picture of the diaphanous raglan up. I am not huge on V-necks, but if the V-neck is not super deep, I can wear it. I will wear it. I don't like a deep V-neck. I don't feel like it's flattering on me for whatever reason. But I do think that if I'm knitting a V-neck, I can size it and adjust it to make sure that it fits me the way that I like. So we're going to try. It's a little late in the season to be knitting this, but again, we might have a very, very long, cold spring. Any other acquisitions? Okay. Another recent acquisition is this Cascade 220. This is their sport weight. I mentioned earlier that I use Cascade 220 fingering for my No-Frills sweater. I also used Cascade 220 in the sport weight for my anchor sweater by Petite Knit that I also finished a year and a half ago. The anchor sweater was my first completed sweater, and then this was my second. And I really love Cascade 220 yarn. It's very soft. It feels a little rustic, but definitely like next to skin soft for me. The colors are beautiful. It's affordable, which is great on a single mama's public school teacher salary. We love an affordable yarn that comes in a trillion colors. I ordered this for a test knit that I will be doing for Annie of This Bird Knits that I'm very excited about. It's a textured pullover sweater, and I think this is just a perfect, what color is this? Does it say? Color name is, whoop. No, color 1042. But it's a very sort of minty green, light minty, pale, springy green. And I will be holding this just on its own single strand to work up this sweater for the test knit. Yep, so I'm very excited about this test knit. I'm not going to talk about it yet. There really isn't anything much to it yet. I cast on, I've done some 1x1 rib, and so far that's it. But I am looking forward to this test knit. It's sort of it's a different, I like to do the endless sea of stockinette knitting, so to be knitting a textured pullover is kind of a departure, and I think it's going to be very interesting and engaging, and I'm looking forward to that. I think that's all I wanted to talk about for now. I am now going to have my 10-year-old daughter, who's dancing in the corner of the room. I'm going to have my 10-year-old daughter show me how to edit video, which will be fun for both of us, I'm sure. Thank you for hanging out with me for a bit. I'm excited to see where this goes. I am excited to talk about my knitting. I'm excited to hopefully hold myself again. I'm very distracted by the 10-year-old dancing in the corner of the room. I'm excited to hold myself maybe a little bit more accountable for finishing things that I start. I have several single socks lying around, and maybe this will be the motivation that I need to finish them. That's all for now. I hope you are well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're hanging in there until spring. It's almost here. And I will see you next time.